St. Patrick was given the name Maewyn at baptism. Young Maewyn was born to a wealthy family in Britain. His family's success was rooted in the agricultural economy. It was based on the Roman patron-client relationship system of social control. His father received substantial tax relief because of his position as deacon in the Christian church. The Roman governor, a paternal protector and benefactor, formed alliances with selective clients and offered financial assistance and legal protection at the expense of the exploited lower class. The Roman writer Tacitus tells us the people of Britain, more than a century before the empire evolved into a Christian state, were seduced into alluring vices, pillared halls, baths, and choice banquets. The simple natives gave the name, culture, to this aspect of their slavery. St. Patrick grew up as a normal teenager. He made youthful mistakes, as attested to in his work called Confessio. That work is one of his 2 surviving writings. When he was only 15, he and the entire community learned an important lesson in homeland security. Vortigern, the Roman leader in Britain, invited Saxons pirate mercenaries to serve as a military buffer between Pelagianism Christians and the Roman Catholic Party. Both groups were trying to gain influence in that protectorate. Vortigern also felt threatened by the aggressive seaborne attacks of the Picts. When military and economic pressure on Rome made it necessary for them to withdraw their legions and return home, the security of Britain was thrown into chaos by the military stranglehold of the Saxons. Picts and Celts each saw the weakened alliances as an opportunity to establish their own control of the agricultural resources. St. Patrick's family estate became an easy mark for raiding marauders from the land that Rome called Hibernia. Many unprotected agricultural villas met violent ends at that time. Young Maewyn was forced into Ireland's guest worker program along with thousands of other captives. Impoverished and unprotected by law, the young man was subjected to the abuse and degradation of slavery, for 6 years, by his master, Milchu, a Druidical high priest. We can only speculate how the cold isolation of the mountaintop, where he tended his master's livestock, and the predictable psychology of abuse, directed his thinking. Historians believe that this is where he got the notion to convert Irish Druids to the system of law and social justice. The failure of Roman Britain trade agreements and alliances caused a greater concentration of Britain's wealth and economic stagnation. The economy of the Roman Empire went into steep decline. A total collapse of the global economy culminated in CE 476. The abdication of the last Western Roman emperor marked the beginning of the Dark Ages. The most important economic resource, tens of thousands of alien workers, including Hibernia's champion saint, escaped captivity and returned to their homes. Meanwhile, the agricultural villas that had been the economic center of society in the Roman Empire dissolved. The Benson.biz welcomes you to Part 2 of St. Patrick. Part 1 ended with the military and economic collapse of the Roman Empire and Rome's loss of control of the global economy. The failure of Roman Britain trade agreements and alliances during the early part of the 5th century caused a greater concentration of Britain's wealth and caused economic stagnation. The economy of the Roman Empire went into steep decline. A total collapse of the global economy culminated in 476 CE, with the abdication of the last Western Roman emperor, marking the beginning of the Dark Ages. Ireland's most important economic resource, tens of thousands of slaves, including Hibernia's champion saint, escaped captivity and returned to their homes. After he returned home, St. Patrick spent more than a decade studying and learning. Because of his fluency in the language and knowledge of Hibernia's Druid culture and way of thinking, he was commissioned to go to Britain and minister to Christians. Instead, he saw the opportunity he had been dreaming of since his captivity. St. Patrick would teach the pagan people of Ireland a completely new system of community and cooperation. Those who believe in strong environmental protection policies will feel relieved to know, St. Patrick did not drum up the snakes of Ireland and drive them from the land. The universal symbol of earth consciousness, the serpent, was a religious icon to the Celtic Druids of Ireland. The snake, a powerful symbol of healing, is still used in corporate logos. Driving the snakes from Ireland became a metaphor for the Druid loss of influence over the minds of the people. Progressives familiar with the conservative tax agenda will have no trouble imagining 2 Irishmen reframing the new political situation with some sarcastic Irish wit.
Kona's tattoo, Mr. O'Connor. Tommy Gomar, Michael. It looks like we're finally getting some snake relief.
Politicians are criticized for losing the confidence of voters by not clearly defining issues and positively affirming values. They might take heart knowing that literary critics over the centuries point out that St. Patrick's use of written Latin, the international communication media during that era, was inept at best. St. Patrick was a man of action, not words. The Confession, a short autobiography, was directed to members of his own religious order's talking points. It responded, in part, to accusations that the charismatic leader was attempting a power grab even though he regularly spurned huge offers of wealth. He apologized for being unable to express his thoughts clearly in writing. Consider, he conversed in the Celtic language of Ireland, different from the language of his youth while trying to write his complex thought in encumbering Latin. We tend to use our own linguistic filters when reading the English translation and trying to figure out what his spirit and mind really meant as he searched for the right word.
I am unable to tell my story to those versed in the art of concise writing, in such a way, as my spirit and mind long to do, and so that the sense of my words expresses what I feel.
Try to imagine St. Patrick's relentless energy as he traveled throughout Ireland, talking to and learning from everyone he met. The Celtic Druids, outraged by his success, arrested him several times only to see him escape each time. He was held captive by thugs and endured assassination attempts. Still, he worked relentlessly to correct the injustice that divided our world by promoting ideals of justice, law, and equality. St. Patrick worked tirelessly to establish and maintain an educational system. He built schools that became the ideal of all Europe. During the following 3 centuries, political leaders from diverse European cities called on graduates to help establish similar learning institutions in their communities. Everyone is Irish on St. Patrick's Day. We celebrate with neckties with green shamrocks and t-shirts with "Kiss Me I'm Irish" on March 17th. They are showing a visible link to the spirit of St. Patrick, whose goal of working for the people transcends domination by the forces of fear and evil. This spirit of this great man, who changed the consciousness of everyone who met him, knows we understand the timeless theme of ancient wisdom, democracy's ideal, where law and justice apply equally.